Into no breast cancer no symptoms no any a business sign nipple no etimisasa into I was obabia beya I was inspecting your breast from time to time. Because in between mammograms, changes to me, okay, cancer to me start into nipple change, yeah, especially compared to the other. Na say nipple na ye flat, ana achia, ana bibisa, was so call doctor. Who say a moja efi when nipple no more any good sign. And this a moja film, I was so called doctor. It don't be a duana bo ube feely. I was so called doctor. Nipple no skin no it to me change color. Breast no it to me red. I was so the come out doctor shape. It took the be a skin no na I yet to say anka orange peel. A friend of Peter. Or podo ranch. And was said, Bibi say, was so what you call doctor. And they to the piano when you for ya we ya. And no, when you for ya we ya with your periods, nibby. But when you for no ya we ya to two, I was a call a mere shema. Tino symptoms, no signs, no, a B and no. What stages of breast cancer? So stages of breast cancer, no, and no importance of that, no, a prognosis or impact on your survival. A breast cancer, no, when you breast cancer and your death sentence these days, no, most people are cured of breast cancer. With stage, no, and no, the important thing. Intino sanya me katre mono we yet stage 0 and only the mekasa ase emfansa polyp no DCIS and we friend is stage 0 survival 100% DCIS nya dia enye invasive nya dia sebi spreading kunipa but we jai man to ho dia e da be dane invasive intino survival from DCIS no a year 5 year survival 100%. Where you stage 1, it just said, Juabeda wenufum. Extra, and young call lymph nodes. 5 year survival, 98%. Stage 2, Juana beda wenufum. A big lymph node. But, and shut down so. And only stage 2, 88%. We nipa 100 and mu 88. Nyaje do wo ebrewo upa stage 3 kra duano so akoko lymph nodes bebire and we stage 3 and no 5 year survival ni 52 and na stage 4 is the one and ni say what na what ma with stage 1 the biarada a better stage 4 because Dr. Carr said treatment when now here was a menu. Eventually, one your sad treatment in the dear a bit me a better stage 4. Now stage 4, unfortunately, in your bar, your friend said the train has left the station. It just said breast cancer now winya we new for moon. And no na afe spread the call will live you. I've spread the call lang and now mojamu. A droppy anyway, bet me dear mawa, bet me to saya we are sick. A big cold brain. Osha 5 year survival is 16%. I know crammed them in me crammes who homobua. 5 year survival, about 5%. Into enya dear, I was say, ye did dear grow Emma and a bassa. Graph way, it looks complicated, but message no yet back okay. Graph if the American Cancer Society. Now, 5 year survival that me church in the last slide. Or mama breaking it down by race. Na no na me person me de chrem. Into no stage no. omo ye no localized, regional. Localized no stage 1 and 2. And a regional no stage 3. And a distant no stage 4. Okay. Now white pink bar no white people. But some of 2 bars pink bar no yeah white women. Now black the light pink bar black women. Into the 5-year survival for stage 1 white people were better survival than black people. Uber regional now, it's even wider. Black people 78% are surviving, white people 88%. Uber distant at the same story. This is some na American Cancer Society kind statement or make here. And I'm has said when you even break it by stages, you see it very clearly. So black women in America, stage by stage, the same stage, and so they fare worse than their white counterparts. There was okay. Tino sa slide when an American machremu that and to mean tremu tintin bia bio, where your trend in survival monitored from 1975 through to 2020. In fact, trend in death into which black people are almost death higher than white people. Now gap has been persistent for decades and it's 43% higher. And only a point na make you're talking about the size of the problem. Anyhow, before, whether we are in the US or whether we are in Ghana and Mano, your survival saying there are 2 important things. I said 3. The first one is prevention, and no matter some last. The second one is early detection and only screening. So you who cancer at stage 1, survival in 90-something%. Into so you screening now, that's the whole point. So you screening when your cancer they are detecting it very early. Your survival is almost assured. Now what now one stage 4, they are now late. Into screening. And so when you cancer now, before baby you do hospital, you can say yes, what is the kind of menufua and one to many and what and no one some became to screening and diagnosis. And then you do screening mammogram, meaning some winning. I dare back one make after screening mammogram say it is the only imaging modality which has been consistently found to decrease breast cancer. And only the only thing, so ultrasound, MRI, none of them. I dear back pet and no yes research, studies, and who said, so we no sanya societies nakasa was see every year, BC every 2 years. What dear, we no sanya. You're recommending that is the only thing. A timid decrease breast cancer death because it will catch your breast cancer early. And your prognosis is excellent if your cancer is caught early. Now, say annually, you should start at age 40 or earlier. I mean, I said recently there was some controversies, but American Cancer Society that was switching at 40 years. Okay, especially so be what family history. In addition, maybe I have almost say high risk for breast cancer because of family history. Baby, it is a group of women now more high risk. Computer program be calculate will be a risk. You take a number of factors into consideration. So high risk and you're now mammogram started at age 30. Na ye wa risk ba kubia eno ye hard eno ne friend BRCA gene eno no kire say breast cancer na wo mabusua mu nti obi wu a na ode ama ne ba obi wu a na ode ama ne ba. You are almost 90% sure to get breast cancer. So was sa gene bia. Sa omu was sa gene no de. Omu no not only say it was omu ye mammogram. On top of it, and I was almost say MRI. Na ebeya go so almost started almost screening no at age 25. Okay. Screening also as some person may come from say yana a man baby so some because me ye behu cancer enters ufanipa or ha a moon 90 omoya mammogram is completely normal. 90% of women omoya mammogram is completely normal. Emu 10 and ye back so we think we see something we are not sure to come back for a diagnostic mammogram. Into when you screening mammogram, there was 3. See who be abnormal, I say come back for a diagnostic mammogram. Sani part 10 we move 6 eventually or mammograms say you're normal. Now cat nipa 4 maybe 4%. Nipa 4 ne move 2%. Say it still doesn't look like it's cancer until what you come back in 6 months for another mammogram instead of 1 year. And more 2% per. And Rebecca said, we think we need a biopsy. Into the likelihood of Bakwaya mammogram, be low. But you who so you good because they will catch it early. You're catching it earlier, like I said. You are assured of being cured. Okay. In a way, a few pictures of mammograms and I'm a person me de chemo namuhu so ukube mammogram DNA radiologist muhu a ebema maya consent. Into yani wa calcium deposits. Your friend calcification. Into me bemu afọ mu patterns. Into enya tembia na yedwa. Tino muhu sa na no my consent. It told be dear, it told be so who do no panty way ya dwa. Now when no dem person me de tramo wa say when you now do our moon. Now your freebie be dense breast. We say what dense breast. A young woman yana woman were less fat and older women were more fat. Fat no it tends to be less opaque. Into no mass woman you. It's what dense breast we mass were home soon ye. Into no normal is all for ye mammogram now who dense breast ni beer. It told the biomechanical sambra nebe ye MRI na yem she. Because our dense breasts at the downside and say one she ya na mass be or why no more I'm messing. Okay. My diagnostic mammogram men come as saying way example of diagnostic mammogram Joanna be into way or be diagnostic mammogram ha omuye ultrasound na ehwo no de measurements into ultrasound no say enete to minya hu mass ni say ya the next number ye ultrasound so na be ya measurements no. And now ultrasound no so now omude hwe wo armpit ho hwe lymph nodes mammogram no ntimi enko axilla ho enhwe armpit ho enhwe lymph nodes no. And now so muhu bibi no mo ye biopsy no so say ena etie nti we no ultrasound nti the ultrasound no eto wenufo no so na akere wo mo baby a lesion no wo baby a dwa no wo na omudi needle I am directed to the mass no ma take biopsy no mpempi ne bia na wo da ho to de bia na wo te ho occasionally no difficult biopsy. We a difficult biopsy. Just with that table, no, so MRI guided. I don't know, can be a little painful, but we know they are painless and very comfortable. Okay. It's no, there may be jam for screening mammograms. No, say they are quick exams that save lives. Do not procrastinate any longer. Mammograms nya de bia ehune so won faso na say ya catch wo breast cancer kra na mammogram catch ya usually stage 1 what na woman ko stage 4 ebe how baby enti no ye to aso no bebe ma case presentation kaka kasa case presentation e just obi a wenya cancer no bebe kan ho asam ne dia discuss ni treatment no. Into no a patient na yebe kind of has what yakosia we did 50 years now or a young woman or that so young period. Now I will explain why it's important to know whether obi a menopause are now on menopause. Yeah, the informed treatment I had the ma'am. Na on one kasa edin sake kan enufu no hu se dwa edim into no hospital eno moye no mammogram to moye no mammogram no hu se ampa dwa eda nenufu na asako sa lymph nodes na wo ni armpit no emu into no omoye sa ultrasound guided core biopsy na me kire mo pictures omoye bi. Now, omuye no pathology no by no nampa or breast cancer. Na sanye me yamake kanwa hey grade 2. Any ERPR no your hormone status may explain in na nyeme bi wo kwa ye nya ye babs na ye check it na sanya be ya e be kire treatment yemfam. Na sister yenam said ne breast cancer no so na 5 centimeters asa ko ne armpit was a mobekaya so me say tumor no so na sa travel to armpit na stage 3 into no na stage no stage 3 into no what are her treatment options treatment then and my sister yeah, the man, I feel never good treatment. You know, treatments I will see for breast cancer. About 6 different options. Surgery, they say, you better near baby one. Radiation, and I may explain. No pahua, you will chemotherapy, you will be a friend hormonal therapy, you will targeted therapy, and the latest, you will immunotherapy. Okay. Now, mommy explain ya dear back treatments I come once for stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Stage 4, the essential me catch mono, an entirely different issue. To treatment, and come and one would take a whole different, would take a whole day into the treatment where I come once in stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Curative treatment, I had mawa, yenim says, and yamea doma, and mabio, and only a friend curative treatment, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Okay. Into no surgery and radiation. You're from a localized treatment because a treatment I had directed to a new phone specifically into a localized treatment. Surgery, no, you will more me. You will mastectomy and only say, Doctor, no be when you funina to do any cancer nini. But surgery, any one lumpectomy. Lumpectomy they say, ye baby tumor no one no kwa na ye ja when you for no intact. Nampempi yala nipa wonder Mami kwaye mastectomy because lumpectomy die enye enough. Omo studies ahuro bebre. So we lumpectomy no. Now with the radiation no eka it is equivalent to mastectomy. The entire way lumpectomy na it was all the radiation come say when you leave breast behind cancer cells may be a microscopic, it be a normal escaping into breast tissue. There's no technology you detect those microscopic cells. Intino enunti enasa we lumpectomy na it was so we radiation come to burn off any cancer cells that could be remaining in the breast. Until lumpectomy plus radiation is equivalent to mastectomy. Mastectomy, man baby omo ya na omo lose your self-confidence because ya no my lopsided and ya and no what a lot of emotional and mental health issues associated with it. It is not that easy to say just take off my breast. A lot of times women who don't realize the effect it's going to have on them. The good news is that these days, reconstruction. Into reconstruction. Or baby or mastectomy 1 year, not on share who will mirror. When you talk to them, it is really profound. Okay. Theater kosono lymph nodes na me kachre mo sa lymph nodes na wo axilla we are very important omoni gatekeepers no edwana beda wanu fumu a na lymph nodes o ma ya alert omo peso omo stop cancer cells from spreading beyond this area into your blood into no ma ya alangard. With time this cancer will overcome the lymph nodes. Intino say breast or breast surgery now. Person would determine whether your lymph nodes have become involved with the cancer cell because it tells them say the cancer had already begun the journey of spreading. Lymph nodes are uncountable. It's not possible so lymph nodes lymph nodes forever. It is not an ideal situation. Into what the goal here is say, omubetimia picking off a few lymph nodes to determine whether the cancer are spreading lymph nodes now. That's where we have what we call sentinel lymph node mapping. Injected dye around the tumor at the time of surgery. The dye will travel to the lymph node, the sentinel lymph node. There's one lymph node that drains first from the tumor. And from that lymph node, then the cancer cells go to the rest of the lymph nodes. Into doing surgery, they want to pick up that sentinel lymph node. So I'm picking up that sentinel lymph node. That's the cancer more. It was all more explore axilla kakra. Or picking up sentinel lymph node, not cancer, nimudia, and I'm not just say lymph nodes near DH training in cancer being into a while, no major axillary node exploration or dissection. Tino, one other procedure, womo eyeni, when you do a lumpectomy. When you do a mastectomy, dear, or more yes, for the most part, and they say, a number of lymph nodes come out when they take the entire breast, so they are able to exploit. Sometimes these are some more techniques, and yet that extensive into sometimes they still have to do sentinel lymph nodes. But it's important to know whether the lymph nodes are involved. Into lymph nodes, operating room no ma pai mu na pathologist ahwe na wa catch room se cancer cells wo mu na ebinim o catch room se bi wo mu pe na chese wo se o mo explore axilla no kakra eyi more lymph nodes o catch room se ebinim ma ehwa no mo jai exploration no na chese o ma end this surgery no. Okay, if bibi so margins Okay, into way cancer new and a normal healthy breast tissue in into no doctor no choir now choir lumpectomy meaning so could try area na cancer no one. And also making sure say tissue ne and what edges of specimen now will try and normal. So pathologists ne na cancer cells ni be at the edge of tissue na surgery no a remove then it means to say we jack cancer we need you will try the one who your breast tissue I would jar behind your question or pathology no cancer no specimen na surgery ni try cancer no but right up to the edge. It means that a margin, that's what we call it. The margin is positive. The surgeon must go back and remove more tissue to ensure say it is safe. There's no cancer at the edge. And yes, sir, cancer kit way the crowd be woman. And no within a short time, be saying in the and then it can even spread. Into margins are the next important thing. Yes, surgery. You pay attention to. Radiation, we mentioned say radiation. We are lumpectomy now. It was we radiation. In fact, we are mastectomy. There are certain exceptions. It's like tumor no super. You be radiation on top of it. And as a lymph nodes, so 4 or more were positive, contained cancer, but more radiation, even if you did mastectomy. Radiation is fairly simple. With that table, no so normal the machine, no, it's so 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but several weeks, it be a 3, it be a 4. A first panel, most of them require 5 to 6 weeks, Monday to Friday. These days, you know, more techniques into 1 week of cry. Into way gives you a better idea. Into no woman, ne cancer na hala na want to weigh a baby a surgery, we try and to be a directive radiation, measurements, no directive radiation to the breast and also to the axilla. Now, radiation it reduces the chance of cancer growing back in this breast by 50%. Tell you that's effective. Now, picture some of the new advances. Be accelerated partial breast irradiation. When in normal external beam radiation, I'm where any parkoma, where any liver brabo, where your baby a surgery. To radiation, you're directing to this breast, dear, so sharp. Part of the heart is in the path. And some of the side effects of radiation long term can be congestive heart failure. To me, because radiation, a bit to a bit to me a lung, a bit to me cool. To me the lung issues in the long term. The newer technology, radiation new. You're so precise. Now, radiation is directed solely at what we call the surgical bed. Lung. Into the newer technology, to save women. Into no CCI surgery, some radiation, to what surgery, the first now by any surgery, see a very move. Now for your child so by radiation. Okay. In addition, some of the cancer cells microscopic. You just surgery ni we cry, a be a breast, a biswan be a from lymph nodes no akko into the lymphatic system. It be cry be a from mujanum and in namo system no more air pe. Lung be na liver be na settle 5 years down the line na a grow na stage 4 and until na so we with surgery na it was said your mount medication to prevent what we call recurrence, to prevent your cancer from growing back, particularly growing back in distant places and making you have stage 4 disease, which is not curable. Into a chemo, any targeted therapy, any immunotherapy, any hormonal therapy, a BIM, when we travel around your whole body, trying to kill off any breast cancer cells, escape. This is the reasoning. Okay. No yabefa omo one by one and talk about them. Now, son yebetimi aka omo ho asem. Yefre bibi receptors. Now, I will say me timi chire mu kakra. No receptors, no, what are receptors? What the emphasis say way a cancer cell. Emphasis say way a receptor. Fun say your socket. A cancer cell no so the surface. Those are sockets way or iron no I call plug or iron. Oh, I could plug iron into the socket. Now iron a so. Into no breast cancer, and what 3 receptors be and whom here ye. But could the estrogen ye and ma hormones and ma ye produce progesterone, no so ye hormones and ma a producer. And I have baby hair too, and know your protein. Some women a producer. It is our receptors and I'm fancy and who socket no cancer cells. So will make you be a breast cancer. No make you estrogen. Now estrogen no I could plugging itself into the receptor and what surface no so. And yes, not signal the brain of the cell, the nucleus. Now, catch a nucleus, produce 1,000-fold. No nucleus, no, not a cell, a divided cell. In essence, female hormone estrogen, and no feed with cancer, and no man a grow. Sounds on a progesterone. There were no sooner testing or what's I had 2 nubino, and no a cranky up cell no cry 10. Estrogen, no, any progesterone. The good news is that, so when your breast cancer near determines our receptors now, you were immunospecific, you could neutralize SAR receptors. So produce estrogen, no cry, and your socket, your same, until your baby, and home see now ascending message about my nucleus and our brain is multiply. See, that is the importance of the receptors. When you have breast cancer, you are checking 3 receptors. Into baby surgery, no now baby radiation, near receptors, until you may dry, was say a demand to stop the cancer from growing back. And neuronal is based on your receptors. Okay, to be hoped that much last year. Tisanya mekai receptors miansano and mayetimi breaking women and your more breast cancer into 3 groups. Yawo omoye estrogen ni progesterone female hormone omoye positive omone dodo 72%. In fact, why would you estrogen ni progesterone positive no more cancer no and yet that aggressive? That's the good news. And now you want sa protein growth factor omoye positive omo constitute about 15%. And no you're more aggressive than hormone positive breast cancer. And you want a small group omo we test you no you're negative for all the 3. Ammonia from was a triple negative breast cancer. That is the most aggressive form of breast cancer. Some breast cancer, on one will hear female hormones, one will hear protein, on here Dianibia, what if free autopilot growing non-stop? Tiakasa triple negative breast cancer, you have an issue, unfortunately. Now, unfortunately, that is the commonest breast cancer in Ghanaian women and in Blacks. Some data may present. It was a study that was done by researchers from University of Michigan. Omoko konfanoche. And omoko collected specimens. And almost collected specimens ewo omu institution. In their study, they had 1,000 white Americans, almost 600 African Americans, and now 75 Ghanaians from Ghana. Now, what they found out is that as many as 83% of the Ghanaian women, normal breast cancer, we are triple negative, the most aggressive form of breast cancer. In fact, my share literature from Ghana, publications from Ghana, the lowest I've seen in any study is 50%. Why Ghanaians and African Americans have more triple negative breast cancer, a big area of study at the moment. We don't have the answers, but that is the reality, is that they have more aggressive breast cancer. And it seems to be very common in Ghana. Moving on, I think I will skip this slide because I explain it everywhere. I'll skip this slide as well. Into chemotherapy. Chemotherapy, is shrouded in a lot of mystery because chemotherapy. In fact, doctors are crying. Doctor on your oncologist cry. On your chemotherapy, chemotherapy, Mr. When you be we picture with my shada and a diapa. Chemotherapy at the mild patient. You the mat through the veins. It be a IV push. It be pushy a drone. It be also a be hanging up on a bag. What's it for them? It be our best spending anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, depending on the number of chemotherapy drugs. I did how long I be infused. You infuse na coffee. Na it be a regimen be every week for a dose. It be every 2 weeks. It be once every 3 weeks. Chemotherapy is travel around your body to kill off those cancer cells. No matter who say a bit may reduce the risk of recurrence by 30 to 40%. By that, what we mean is that 400 women are or by for sure. Omubenya recurrence, ya kwaya omu surgery, ya yomu radiation, oma yomu treatments newie. Your name so omu 100 ni na benya recurrence, be save 30 to 40 of the women. That's what we need. It will cut down your recurrence by 40%. Immunotherapy, any targeted therapy. Some kaya me catch am say it might be a protein be. Into some man when we protein, you be on top of the a castle was I had 2 new positive breast cancer now. Now we'll see a mom special medication to neutralize the protein. Herceptin, Pegeta, they are very effective. So most chemotherapy will be reduce your recurrence by 30 to 40%. These drugs will reduce your recurrence by 50%. And now, immunotherapy. Immunotherapy is the latest treatment. And essentially, nipa me show some win say immune system a boy immune system and a boy enya cancer. Because at all times, cells are trying to misbehave. But if your immune system is good, it will destroy those cells or those mechanisms that are trying to form cancerous cells. Unfortunately, for some people, they are not able, their system is not able to handle that. And then eventually you see cancer developing. Immunotherapy, a drug, a programming immune system to attack the cancer. So that's what immunotherapy is. Currently, for breast cancer, the only group whose immunotherapy is very effective and approved, man or more triple negative or more the most aggressive form, which is very good because up until now, chemotherapy because she would be CCI immunotherapy very effective in that group of women. Okay. Last treatment I make hormonal therapy. Some kaya mention estrogen, progesterone, female hormones. Inti anono yawo inuro mienu yawo bako tamoxifen and yawo bako aromatase inhibitor. Inti oba odaso ya brano ono ne de ne tamoxifen and oba wako go into menopause no ono so ne drug any aromatase inhibitor. And because it's always important to know oba no the menopausal status because omo drugs are different. These drugs are very effective and also reduce your risk of recurrence by 50%. Into the come back to akosia. Near treatment akosia nyai. Into akosia because you're 50 years old, because you're premenopausal, meaning so that's the period. And I mentioned that the mass was big, it was 5.1. And I mentioned the lymph nodes not be brave one armpit. Positive. And I mentioned say your estrogen and progesterone positive was also yet hair too no positive. Tafena me did this a match and no nasi. The treatment then and I demand. Yamano, and I'm sorry, HER2 positive, Yamano, HER2 treatment. HER2 treatment consists of 4 drugs. Now, HER2 treatment, the mouth for the most part, the mouth crown sign surgery because we saw because you the cancer no soon. Inti say dear mananya ketua surgery no kwaya surgery onya positive margins. Into the first step no any surgery. The first step no will be systemic treatment, chemo, and now say HER2 drug, and now even for triple negative immunotherapy, you the mouth first. Say a best shrinking cancer down. Now surgery no kono kwaya surgery na winya negative margins. Into sania akosia omumano HER2 treatment or we no mastectomy and reconstruction. And I'm saying a cancer no so no mastectomy plan sign and man radiation. Now we no near man hormonal therapy. The last line is just a little detail. HER2 no treatment for a full year. Into no and we are hard drink a crabasanity. The treatment so every 3 weeks to complete a year of treatment. The treatment I dema akusiano and need the reason behind it. Into a failure you call breast cancer risk reduction and prevention. Prevention is better than cure. Yeah, person you bomb the cancer and cry. Say young go chemo, young go surgery, young go face. I don't care yana and pay. Tidia ni betimi aya de boy a home by. Tia risk factor and only thing. A risk factor is anything that increases your chance of getting a disease. Having a risk factor or even many does not mean you are sure to get breast cancer. Do what risk factors need be bra and it doesn't mean you're going to get breast cancer. It doesn't mean that. And it doesn't mean it's a risk factor on the cause of breast cancer. Actually, we don't know the cause of breast cancer. The any man said, so we were A, B, C, and D, and pain P, you know, some form. Yeah, we breast cancer. At the same time, we were A, B, C, and D, so we do breast cancer. And that's why we can't say that those things are the cause. Okay, but they are associated. Okay. And to know what are some of the risk factors? The mere fact that or ban, it's a risk factor for breast cancer. What do you mean? These are non-modifiable. When we have risk factors, what do you mean? And the reason why we say being a female, no, a risk factor, no, same. Because in the US, about 290,000 per year in the Benya breast cancer this year, and then about 2,500. To right then you see, say, if you're bad, you are more likely to get breast cancer. In fact, the chances of any woman getting breast cancer by the time will be 80 years, 1 in 8. Ufama 8 be a mubakon, ebenya breast cancer. That's how common it is. Getting older, age is associated with breast cancer big time. You know, not cells multiply out of control. Now it happen more often because as you are growing, well, immune system is not that effective. Into safeguards now in our body, they stop working well. Until as you get older, you are more likely to get cancer, not just breast cancer, any cancer. Inheriting certain genes, me catch them say BRCA gene. Na me was slide back one, me debe explain. Actually, you know, yamfa to answer. Family history. Say we busuemu nipa bebre enya breast cancer. Some of them under age 50 or high risk of breast cancer. No ntiminya hoshi. So one kasa winya breast cancer, what's our higher chance of getting a second breast cancer? Race and ethnicity. It's interesting. White people get breast cancer more often than blacks. In terms of noted that down. However, even though white people get breast cancer more often, blacks are more likely to die. So that's where race comes in. And the explanation is very simple. It's because white people utilize screening mammograms more often than blacks. Indeed, they are usually more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer. And they catch it early, so they are cured. A black person, unfortunately, due to lack of access, limited resources, on time, mammogram, till we do hospital, now stage 3. Now, I didn't send me dense breast, and on the catch or dense breast, you are more likely to get breast cancer for a variety of reasons. Certain benign breast condition, you acquire biopsy, you see you're benign. Yes, I acquire biopsy, you're benign. Among who say benign for no, the real, at some point it becomes real breast cancer than women who've never had any benign breast disease. And menstrual cycle. May explain it. Into will be starting in menses until be at 10, 9, 11, or no, I'm more likely to get breast cancer. Or be or young menopause late, or you're more likely. Nina for estrogen and progesterone. So we are menses earlier. You are producing estrogen and progesterone early. We get menopause later. It means that estrogen and progesterone, you produce it for a longer time. So anything that causes a longer duration of production of estrogen and progesterone and our higher levels, it's been found to be associated with breast cancer. And to be a breastfeeding, okay, we'll come to that. Yes, okay, good. Radiation to the chest. So why cancer years ago, radiation to the chest. Later on down the line, it made the breast cancer man. Sanya men in our own team in Yamhoshi. Yes, also one near me risk factors be no dear a modifiable. You bet me a home by into and I will say a day emphasis on ya did true. Alcohol has been found to increase the risk of breast cancer. Abstinence and only a train. Being overweight and obese, and also the breast cancer has been found to be associated with breast cancer. It is about maintaining normal weight now. Not being physically active, being overweight, where I can exercise. What's are you overweight? One year exercise. Exercise has been shown say it reduces our hormones and prevents us from getting breast cancer. Just say it's our health message, but when I'm bringing this from our textbooks, but so your classes or emphasizing on it's now been found to be beneficial. This is an example. This is where these are board questions. We have to know them. These things are real. Until we see pay attention. Not having children. Minka will be a sebi or power when you be. Estrogen. So when you get pregnant, the production of that particular estrogen progesterone less until it protects you. Not breastfeeding, the same thing. So what will breastfeed here? So we period and returning time into your exposure to estrogen progesterone less. It protects you from breast cancer. Birth control pills be why a cause breast cancer. No, I was saying yes, and now so we'll go into menopause as hormone therapy now. Hormone replacement therapy has been found to be associated with breast cancer. And I was saying, and also you bet me a change your lifestyle, a change in your maybe a bet me a boy by. And you maybe once and you're very clear based on science. Say it me reduce the risk of breast cancer. Diet and vitamins. So my studies, baby. So far, studies need BC, yes. Studies need BC, no. Regardless, though, the mama what diet and vitamins will say colon cancer there. It has been shown. It is a breast cancer crown a diet, no. Yeah, sure. Colon cancer there, sure. Into the area diet here. Plant-based diet, excellent. Less red meat, excellent. Chemicals in the environment, and no, studies need be shown, it's all over the place. Smoking is another one for breast cancer. Smoking, dear, lung cancer, but breast cancer, no, they are not sure. And now a busy night shift work. So it's related to a certain substance, a friend of melatonin. It is a night shift now one does melatonin produce enough apparently. Now melatonin is supposed to be protective for breast cancer. Or my year studies, and you're very clear. And anyway, one more night shift, no, and the risk factors be also the or prove say period. There's no association. Me tell you some questions. Deodorant, there's no association. Bra, there's no association. And ABC abortions, whether spontaneous miscarriages, any or more abortion, there's no association. Until will be able to someone who you can tell the person there's nothing like that. Okay, to me, some no air baby, you know. Some kaya make cancer, breast cancer be why yana inherited. We nephew parents of her. Ufani per 100 or more breast cancer, mu 10. And ebe was a problem. Na yemfa papa, ni yemfa mame. Mame woni gene ni bi. Papa no ene wo gene ni bi ntina ya kala no red. Tuono okuta saa gene bi woni mogem. Nasa gene, your friend dominant, and then say, gene be or why, just say, Mamma no, any papa na de ma aquaran to two must be present, and son, I are really to me in ready. Dominant gene, dear, only one. Tis our breast cancer gene, no, a dominant. Inti papai or sa gene be. Mammy any be. Omu nkwara for. First child no papa no dini gene no emma no mammy ni di oni bia wode ma akwara no. And I'm say gene dominant into akwara we okuta gene bi. Second child papa no edini normal gene one for gene na yare no wo hu ni bi. Or the normal one and ma akwara no mammy ni bi nti akwara na enye bi. The third child the same. Fourth child, unfortunately, is like first child, where papa no de ne bad gene no emma akwara no maami ni nibi. To omo wo 4 nipa mienu ene kuta BRCA gene. Ukuta BRCA gene, what does it mean? It means to say you are 50 to 85% likely to get breast cancer. Just like you are almost, your lifetime risk is up to 85%. So we'll be in breast cancer. On top of that, we was 60% chance of getting a second breast cancer. And now we were up to 40 to 60% chance. So we'll be in ovarian cancer. And many bisu timinya male breast cancer. Obenya breast cancer. And I'm saying breast cancer entire happen no mema. Obenya breast cancer bia omo check sa gene nibi. Okay. Mema timinya colon cancer so. Ebisu timinya nya prostate cancer. Inti samu pe hu a nipa bebre so mu so mu wo gene ni bia. No makwa akoye double mastectomy. Na so ma we no mo yi omo ovary no se na be ya omo be prevent cancer from happening in the first place. And these are some of the recommendations as say wunya breast cancer not for any reason determines I was here quite BRCA test near your BRCA test now so we are positive. Some of the recommendations I depend on is that consider so ube remove wenufu now ube remove ovary sanya beya unya cancer. And no namaka huasemi. Into no the last thing I want to mention and they say American Cancer Society determines say lifestyle changes na me mention here. Emumiensa mudiswa you will reduce the risk of breast cancer by 30%. Emumiensa bensa maintain normal body weight, avoid physical inactivity, avoid alcohol intake. Muya sanyama miensenya and more risk of breast cancer will be reduced by 30%. Madam Ase. So more questions Sibia. Let's stop it screen sharing. Nama take questions.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Cynthia, for presentation. I think that some of us have a question. My 8-year-old daughter has a question for you.
Okay.
How do I escape breast cancer?
Okay, that's a very good question coming from an 8-year-old. Okay, so at this age, some of the most important things is what I mentioned on my last slide. Maintaining a normal body weight. You know, obesity, the obesity pandemic, being overweight, it has been found to be in children. It starts from childhood. And right now, there are a lot of programs that they are beginning to develop for children. Now, for you to benefit from maintaining a normal weight that will prevent you from getting breast cancer is not something that happens overnight. It's years of maintaining normal body weight. And so what I advise you is that when you go to school, or even when you're at home, all the foods that you love, ice cream, you know them, soda, candy, all those things, avoid them. Listen to your dad. Eat a lot of vegetables, eat a lot of fruits, be very active. These very simple things will help you to prevent breast cancer. At your age, this is the most important thing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Cynthia. I hope Pacho, I don't feel also say your question be your oma Dr. Cynthia. You meet me take a few minutes, me take 1 or 2 questions. Okay. I think that Mrs. Antobam.
Dr. Usuya dawasi bebre na me shall bebre for nchichimu a odi amayen about breast cancer no. My question I me one is about the BRCA gene. Say ukoye mammogram na ye ka say breast no ye dense nti omuntumi nhunu ni ye papa. Can you request for ultrasound? And I think so with the BRCA gene no ubetumi aka say that ubetumi aka request say omonye sa test no ema say ukoye mammogram ubetumi aka request with especially with a doctor no ubetumi aka request say omonye sa test ni bi ana say omo an behu bibi ama omo a refer to do that test no.
Questions now will be very important. Now, these are the very questions every day your patients be saying. You are right on track. Mefa mammogram dieno at first. Se what dense breast. Normally, radiologists in the report no be true. Not so normally. Every time, so what dense breast, I'll bet you or reporting. So radiologists feel say you're so dense, say it was so way MRI or bet you will reporting. I can't. So one true will report no say what doctor yet. Now when second report now. So my mail out report breast. So who dense breast will more? Who call a doctor why I was so be son. Say yes, so what dense breast. Na yanka sekwaye MRI. Na what does he think? Tino yes, I be my doctor no only radiologist na could no me decide say whether they should do a follow-up test or not. And your dense breast in nani here additional test. And sometimes so no be na wo ye mammogram no be wo ye wo mo ahoro mienu ye wo 2D and ye wo 3D. It is a 2D now koye the next step will be a 3D and sakra na MRI. Ultrasound no de no emme kra. Ultrasound no ye de measurements ye de pick it up say bia there's fluid in the mass no money ade. Into no test I will be as follow-up no might be 3D and also say MRI. Into no on second report now pay attention to it. So when second report no I will call with Dr. Kwa. Catch and say a copy of the report. No, actually it's a dense breast woman. It would be son. BRCA test, and this is a very excellent question. BRCA test no nye obia na qualify. Sanya meka only 10% and qualify na. A very expensive, $3,000. In fact, mimi say kwa mimi to me order BRCA test and ma obia just a medical geneticist. Intino say yeah based on history no. Yeah consent say you could carry the gene. Yeah refer to the medical geneticist. Or no be taking very thorough history. Now we determine whether we satisfy all the criteria. Now, so we satisfy the order test. Your primary care physician cannot order it. As a matter of fact, so when you breast cancer cry, order ma'am, you don't qualify. So we relative be and as I say, nyamen fasamba so now our breast cancer. Now we your BRCA test no. Now we positive. And you now ma are qualified for the test. That's how it works. Index person I be no testing. It was all no what breast cancer. Now from that point now to me flow to other relatives.
Me that's it.
I think everything you pick one more question. I think it's 11:30 in East Coast. Everything you pick one more question. So we want one more question. Okay, doctor, maybe some question. Hey, sometimes they are not radiologists for them. Most of the time, no. Or may either said 3D now second, but most of the time, also rarely na so far me who say or mo kasi a MRI, no. But most of the time, no, or kasi ultrasound. I know that when it's you are less than 30 years now, sometimes they prefer you do the ultrasound because of the dense breast, no. But I saw on Casa, I say you are more towards a MRI, I want to know how would you advise some of us?
In the past, and now 1 more year ultrasound. These days, you will be a friend of fast MRI. It's very easy to do that and more cost effective and more efficient. And we are moving away from ultrasound to do ultrasound for dense breast. You can miss masses easily with an ultrasound. So when 2D, then our next step is 3D. And yes, the recommended test is an MRI. Yeah.
There's a question in the chat in my read it. I'll say thank you, Doc, for your great information. It's been very educative, I think, from Sister Christy. Does breast augmentation and implant predispose one to cancer? That's number one question. And I send this to Dr. Again. Okay, so she sent it to me directly. So that's the question. Said breast augmentation and implant, does it predispose someone to breast cancer?
Not to breast cancer, but to lymphoma. I'm saying and it's real. Your story. Into breast implants, some of them. Emma winya cancer be a friend of lymphoma. And no ye cancer, so most share say breast cancer winya it may call lymph node. But when your breast cancer call lymph node nankasa one na cancer estarte when a cancer if free. No dear winya sa lymphoma nibia all the lymph nodes in your body, most of them it take you over. It's not a good cancer. And it's not a very good cancer. And it may cause cancer, but not breast cancer. Yeah.
Okay. I think I know a lot of us has been glued to this our Zoom meeting for so long, and information at their mind, they're very educative, and their sister Chrissy Kaya. I mean, I'm a doctor, and I've learned a lot and today. Dr. Cynthia, you're very grateful for your time. I never now church. I hope and believe that all of us here we have learned something. This was on Facebook Live, Yonkodo Radio pick it up, or Taibo channel picked it up. It means that actually I'm not was in quite a bit benefited, but even people that we don't know. So in that regards, we are very grateful to Otaibo channel for picking it up, and then Yonkodo Radio, Yonkodo TV, and then also Riverside Ghanaian SDA Church Media Team, headed by Brother Ben, for also helping us in this regards now. So watching we are continuing tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 9th for survivors. You invite your friends, your family, and even people that we don't know. Let's share the flyers and all that to also come and listen to breast cancer survivors. And I know it's not easy, but to go through that journey. So let's come and hear from them, and then for that to be. At this time, Brother Ben, if you can listen to our closing hymn, and then after that, I also buy I can see Mrs. Hilda Terriano from Arizona, and then also Mrs. Hilda Boachenso from Bay Area, and other people also. We hope throughout the whole week, we'll joining something about breast cancer. After the opening, after the closing song, after it's played, best if say baby Mrs. Hilda Teria conducive like all my closing prayer and my.
Day by day, and with each passing moment, strength I find to meet my trials. See, trusting in my Father's wise bestowment, I've no cause for worry or for fear. He whose heart is kind beyond all measure gives unto each day what he deems best, lovingly as part of pain and pleasure, mingling joy with peace and rest, mingling joy with peace and rest. Every day the Lord is near me with a special mercy for each child. All my cares He fain would bear and cheer me. He whose name is Counselor and Power, the protection of His child and treasure is a charge that's on Himself He laid. As your days, your strength shall be in measure. This the pledge to me He made. This the pledge to me He made. Help me then in every tribulation, so to trust Thy promises, O Lord, that I lose not faith with consolation offered me within Thy holy word. One by one, the days, the moments fleeting, till I reach the promised land.
Adafo no moma e mompae. Nyame tumfo anadwe wo mada wase. Sa adom so wakora yen so ne da mu nyina yante atenkabani bia na ase nka wo din da. Papa ye do ase wona otwi. Ye do ase nimdiefo a wodo nga adom wasafo yi abre biara wo kyerɛkyerɛ yen. Ye do ase. Sa na wama ye hu kwan e befa so a ema ewo mu. Ye be examine ye nufo abusumi biara. Na kwankyerɛ bi a ebenya no nso wade ye taking it serious. Yes, so ye hu ni suro firi ye mu. Na yenye ho adwuma. Na se ye hu bibi kakra bi adwoa bi anase bibi a ye betu ho anamon. Yes, so formation a yenye boye ne me afoforo enche. Wonu ma ntimi ama ne wonu mo nche. Hu ye mobo ne emfa nye adwuma. Yes, so we hu hia na ade adom ye. Ma yemfa information no emoaboa ye ho yen ho Jesus udin mu nti. Amen.
Amen. Enti yadamase and mispa.
Yehovah nhwɛ no tam.
Amen.
Amen. Tinyambo wachina 7 p.m. sharp.
Okay.
Yeah.